Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How you doing today? You doing good? We're going to go on a trip. We're going to go on several trips. We are going to travel with Karen Gershowitz. She's in New York right now, but we are here in San Diego. And we want to talk about travel. We want to talk about having fun and not being stuck just because you are over 40, because they think 40 is the big deal. That life is over. Life has just begun. She is the author of 3 books. She, again, is a world traveler, but she has some inabilities. And so what she wants to do is she wants to talk to us and encourage us not to get stuck because you got a bad hip or you got a bad knee or, you have respiratory issues. We can work around that. Life is so full. There's so many fun places to do. You just have to figure out how to do it within your scope of genius. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me. I am delighted to be with you.
Well, I'm glad to have you. You just live such a fun life. I've been watching you on social media, and I mean, you don't let anything stop you. And I want to hear a little bit about your story and your journey, and then we're going to go into your travels and your books.
Okay. Well, I've had an interesting journey that has taken me to many different places and not necessarily physical places. I got hooked on traveling when I was a kid. When my mother decided that we were going to travel New York. I grew up in Manhattan, and New York, I just said to you, I'm 74 years old, so I'm not a kid. So I was growing up in the 50s. There were restaurants from all over the globe. There were performances that came in, and we went to everything. So I learned to really appreciate what other cultures had. And then I decided I wanted to see it for myself. So when I was 17, I graduated high school very, very young. I was at the biggest baby boom year, and they just wanted us out of the school system. So I graduated high school at 15.
Wow.
Yeah. Went for a year at college, then went for a year. I worked to save money, and I moved to Europe by myself at age 17. And I got the travel bug. It has never left me. I am a certified travel maniac. I've been to 100 countries.
Wow.
And I'm going. Nothing, as you said before, nothing stops me. I just keep going. But I was studying art. I have a bachelor's and a master's of fine arts and ceramics. And when I graduated, had this wonderful degree, I realized that I was never going to earn enough money to travel the way I really wanted to travel. So I decided I'd better get a real job that paid money and one that would send me around the world. And I fell into marketing. Turns out I loved it. I was good at it. And I ended up working in a couple of very large corporations and working. I was a partner in a consulting firm. And then I said, enough. I'm leaving. I want to do it on my own. I am going to now say something that most Americans go, what? I wanted 10 weeks vacation a year. Yeah, because I wanted to travel. That was absolutely the top of my list. And I made it happen. And I pretty much did that. And I got clients who had offices all over the world, American clients. It was not international companies, but American companies that had clients all over the world. And they sent me all over the world. And I did that. I started the company in 1991. I retired, very bad timing. At the end of 2019, my plan had been to take 2 years off and travel. We know what happened to that plan. But instead, I had been writing for years and years and years. And people in my writing group said, okay, you have plenty of time now. Finish the books, get them published. And so I finished the first book, which is this one, Travel Mania, Stories of Wanderlust.
Ooh.
Yeah. and found a publisher. I am not self-published. I found an indie publisher. It got published in 22. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. When the world was starting to open up a little bit, but everybody wasn't really comfortable with it. So they were happy to armchair travel. So it was the perfect book. And over the next 2 years, I finished the second book. And that one got published in 24. And the third book, which is finished, but hasn't been published yet, I'm hoping to publish in 26. So,
Do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Now,
So,
are you married? Do you have kids?
no, I'm single. I've had a couple of very long-term relationships, but travel's been the thing that has absolutely been my lodestone. Anything that gets in the way of it doesn't happen. I've been kind of mono-focused.
No, and I get it. I get it. Luckily, my husband is a retired military, and he's traveled the world, and so I've been able to accompany him. But now that he's completely retired and I'm semi-retired, we have been going to so many places. Karen, I thought about it, and I said, I forgot I went there this year because it doesn't all lump together. It's an experience, but I have to go back and look at my photographs. I look around my office and sometimes I say, is this junky? And I was like, no, this is a place of wonderment because I've been to all these places. I've been to all these countries. I've collected all these flags.
Right. Oh, yeah, for
all
sure.
these places. And I am a much better person. Much like your mother, my daughter, at a very early age, we got her going. If it wasn't anything but get on the train and go from one state to the next, to take her to plays, to take her to musicals, I want my daughter to be a global citizen, a citizen of the world. Do you know that about only 40% of Americans even have a passport?
I know that. I know. And a lot of people during COVID let them lapse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, millions of people, which is sad. And most Western countries, I mean, Canada, it's something like 80% of everybody has a passport.
But again, let's keep it 100.
Yeah.
Traveling is not what it used to be.
Oh, no.
It is uber expensive.
But
Okay.
there are ways to get around it.
Well, yeah, that there is. But I'm not one of those, those travelers that say, "Oh, I've got a girlfriend to stay there." No, no, I need a hotel. I need my own space. I'm
Right.
not trying to do that because everybody's different. But just like airlines themselves, cruise ships, I love that. Trains, you can figure out how to navigate. But if you have a family, you want to consider maybe road trips. I've got a friend right now that has taken her kids out for a gap year.
Yeah.
They are visiting all the national parks and monuments. There's a lot of ways to do travel. Give us some of your affordable travel suggestions.
Okay. One of the things, and we talked about this briefly before, is a lot of people got to the point during COVID where they're really afraid to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so my advice to people who haven't been traveling in a while is, don't go around the globe. That shouldn't be your first trip. Stay close to home. Find a map, draw a 50-mile or 100-mile radius around your home, and find a couple of places that you've never been to before that sound interesting. Go for a few days. It's an easy drive. It's not hard. And you'll be amazed at what you can find. I mean, I've lived in the New York area for most of my life. And during COVID, I was taking road trips all the time. And I discovered some of the most incredible, gorgeous, either free or incredibly inexpensive places that were within a couple of hour drive. And I absolutely encourage people, start out small. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you're retired, and does depend on that, because if you've got kids in school, you have to go when the school breaks are. But if you're retired, travel when everyone else is not traveling.
Right.
There are some incredible deals, and it'll be less crowded. You'll have more space. You'll be able to get reservations for dinner if you want them. Um, and that makes a huge difference. The other thing is, if you want to have a really good meal at a nice restaurant, have it at lunch. The price
Right.
is half the amount. Then for dinner, pick up something at the local market. Have some
Or
bread
have
and
the
cheese,
leftovers from lunch.
or have the leftovers from lunch. But people think, oh, I really have to go there at dinner. No, you don't. Go for lunch. It is way, way less expensive, and you also get better service, and the whole thing. The other thing is, you don't have to go to Michelin restaurants. My favorite food, without question, is going into small little places that you look online and you look for people who are locals. What do they suggest? What are the places that they go to? You may have to take public transportation. It may not be in the area where your hotel is, but in most, particularly if you're in a city, it's not that hard to do. And you will find places that the locals go to, and the food is fabulous. I mean, really fabulous, because they know what's around. And they're not going out for dinner at the places that cost $100. They're going to the places that cost $30 or $35. Makes a very big difference. If you're
Well,
traveling,
and being on a budget it out. Say, okay, I'm going to spend this amount, over the course of the year. Because we'll do that. We'll say, okay, we're going to do 2 big trips a year and then 2 smaller trips and just kind of work that out. Again, I'm different. If you have friends that have been saying, oh, Karen, I've been wanting you to come see me in Seattle. Come on, and we'll go see the redwoods and blah, 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 blah. And you don't have a spouse with you or you don't have children with you, take it full on advantage of that because
yeah,
she is going to show you the best that Seattle has to
you
offer
bet.
and do different things. Don't necessarily always fly. Maybe you want to take a train. Maybe you want to take a bus. You would be surprised at the people that you meet and
Oh,
you
yeah.
immerse yourself in the culture. Be friendly, be respectful. You are the guest in someone else's home. And do not talk religion or politics. That is a no
Yeah.
no. Yeah, we were just in Ireland. And when we got on, we had to embark. And before we could leave, our passports were confiscated
Really?
for 14 days. I was a nervous wreck because even though we had other ID and we have access to government clearances, I could not get to an embassy without a passport.
Ooh.
Travel is a lot different. Be nice, mind your manners. As soon as we're at dinner, they want to talk about world events. That's not what I came here for. I want to
Mhm.
talk about history. I want to talk about what's new in music, what's new in your culture. Stay away from that because you never know how you are going to be received and perceived. It's really not
Yeah.
worth it. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. Go and have a good time. Always say please. Always say thank you. May I learn the traditional greetings and culture of the people when they get there. Immerse yourself in the culture. Don't hold your nose because you don't smell something that you like. That's part of the culture. It's something different. Oh, I tell you, people can just they can just pack their American with them, Karen. Do you ever find that you run across those people sometimes? They're
I
annoying.
try not to, but I do. Yes.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
annoying.
yeah. To me, I'll tell you what the difference is between a traveler and a tourist. And to me, it's a really big distinction. And everybody should try to be a traveler as opposed to a tourist. A tourist is going somewhere to check off a list, to say, I've been here, I've been here, I've been
Right,
here, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. A traveler goes without expectations.
right, right.
And you go there to discover and to learn and to be open and receptive to the things that you're experiencing and seeing and what you're eating and what you are wearing and what the temperature is and the climate and what they consider important. It's not for you to impose your ideas, it's for you to understand
Right.
their ideas.
Right, right. You got that. You hit that nail on the head right away. I know I was in Jamaica and I saw this cute little goat every morning. He was so cute. He was so cute. And on the third day, I didn't see him. And I asked my driver, I said, well, where's that cute little goat that's out here? He says, oh, we had him for dinner. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he sure was delicious. But, but I had to understand that that's, they raise these animals and then they use them for subsistence. They
Yeah.
eat them or whatever. But it was just a culture and a learning. My daughter was having a reading challenge and she looked at those little girls that had on pristine, crisp, clean shoes. They were just so happy to be able to walk to school to learn.
Yeah.
That was it. And my daughter was look out the window. She goes, Mommy, look at them. It's like 5 or 6 of them, and they're in groups and they're on their way to school and they're singing and they're happy. When she came back, she was singing and she was happy.
Oh yeah.
It will change you in so many different ways. You don't pay attention to what's going on the idiot box of what they tell you is going on in the world. I went to China. Oh, and everybody's giving the Chinese a bad name. I had the best time.
Yeah.
It was law and order. It was clean. The people looked at me kind of strange. I guess they hadn't seen too many Black Americans in that particular area, but it wasn't a problem. But I wasn't offended because it was a nuance to me as if it was a nuance to them.
Yeah.
You know, a strange habit that I have when I travel, I take pictures of the toilets.
Okay.
It's weird.
Very different.
All over the world, toilets are so different.
Yeah.
I really didn't think about that. I was like, so that's fun. I always like to get a piece of artwork or a piece of handmade jewelry, something that's
Right.
made by hand. What are some of the things that you like to collect from your travels?
Jewelry for sure. I
Mm.
have, earrings and rings and necklaces and from all over the world, from 50 years ago. I mean, I got a lot of it. And it's, and I can tell you every single piece, where I got it, what
Wow.
and I buy artwork. I really like buying local artwork. And I have pieces that people come into my home and look at it and go, oh my God, that's the most fabulous painting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I bought it on the street for $20.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got a nice frame on it. And it always takes me back to exactly where I was. And I always am buying them from the artist. I bought more street art, people who are out on the street.
Right. Me too.
And to me, that's, a really great souvenir because, as you say, it's handmade and it's a memory.
Right. And it's
Not a
made,
thing.
you're right. It's made with love. And when you look at it, you're like, wow, I remember this. I was there. And again, I think again when I was in China and I stood there, I had no idea that the Great Wall was 5,500 miles.
Yeah.
And I looked at each individual brick that had a number of an individual stamped on it. And I said, you can see this from space. I'm telling you, the wonderment
Oh, yeah.
and the awe factor is unbelievable. And you see how women have evolved and you see how they raise their children and you see how men have been hunters and gatherers, or you become more socially acceptable to things that are happening in the world now, like monogamy, or someone
Polygamy.
being able to have 2 or 3 wives.
Yeah,
I mean,
polygamy.
really, of course, me being an American, oh, absolutely not. But it seemed like they were a unified family. Everybody got along just fine
Yeah.
in Africa, and that was the norm. So you learn so much about yourself. You reduce the amount of prejudice that you have.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
it's,
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't even look at people like that anymore, but you still see some things that are very common. You still see colorism and you still see classism. And it's like, I don't know where that even comes from, but it's all over the world. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
just here.
yeah,
Some are more severe than others.
yeah.
Um, and again, you just sit back and you observe and you watch. What are some of the nuances and some of the things that you've uncovered in your travels?
Well, the one thing that I always tell people is the more you travel, the more you do two things. First of all, you separate people from governments.
Yes,
You may hate the government, has nothing to do with the people you meet.
right.
They're very different things. The other thing that you quickly discover is that I don't care what country you go to on this globe, people want essentially the same things. They want to have good food, they want to have a nice place to live, they want a good life for their children. They may define it differently. And you have to get over, that this kind of house is an acceptable house and people think it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Or this food that I find inedible, they think is fantastic. But realize that people want the same things. And it makes you much less judgmental about things that you see when you're home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I grew up in New York. I'm used to having the world at my fingertips and getting on the subway and everybody's there. The world is on the subway. But I've seen people who've come from, that I've met while traveling who are, from the Midwest or, some isolated area. And it comes as a huge shock to them what the world is really like.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that, as Americans, we think we're, at the forefront of everything. And then you go to South Korea and you discover that they are so far ahead of us in technology. They're decades ahead of us.
Light years, light years. I know we were somewhere in Europe and they paint the asphalt with a coating that takes the UV rays into the asphalt to light the streets. They didn't even have street lights.
Yeah.
I was like, this is incredible. What are we doing here? But again, we consider ourselves
Oh yeah.
a superpower. And they are a lot of people around the world are a lot more open to wanting to know who you are. It's
Yes.
not about them. It's all about you. How can I please you? How can I teach you? How can I, dance with you? They love to dance. They love music. They love to eat
Yeah.
family style. You know, I know when we were in Africa, eating with my hands, I had to kind of get used to that, got the nails done and all that. But when you sat there on the floor, on a mat, and just big bowls of wonderful things and eating with your hands, you got full faster, but it was just such a sense of community. When we were
Oh
in
yeah.
Italy, I was amazed. 8-course meals, and they're not overweight. And then they walk and get gelato.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And again, immerse yourself in the culture.
Yeah.
Be curious. Now, what are some of the challenges that you found while traveling?
Okay. There are a lot of them, actually. And you have to be able to deal with them and you have to be creative about it. As I said before, I have some really serious mobility issues. I have a terrible back. And it took me years to finally get over I really can't have a wheelchair in the airport. That's for old people.
Mm. Uh,
Yeah. And then it was like, wait a minute. Well, I was, and I'll give Delta credit, bless them. I was the terminal at Kennedy for Delta is miles. And I was walking and my back just like was screaming. And I stood there for a minute and a woman came over from Delta, said, "Are you okay?" And I looked at her and said, "No, I'm actually not." She said, "Let me get you a wheelchair." And I realized how much easier it was. And I had to get myself over to me, it was a stigma almost. And now I take a wheelchair every time I go to the airport
oh, yes.
because it saves my energy for when I am where I want to be and I don't get into excruciating pain. I also know what I can do during the day. When I was younger, I was a serious hiker. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and I climbed Mount Fuji. And now, if I walk 10 blocks, it feels like an accomplishment. And so I've learned to pace myself and I've learned to say, look, I'm going to sit at a cafe and just people watch for a while I get, give myself a chance to rest. And I've discovered that I absolutely love doing that. You get to talk with people, you get to see what people are like. And I also love to take public transport. I'll take a bus or a train
Oh,
and
I
just,
love the red bus in anywhere I go is my first stop.
oh yeah, the hop on, hop off. Me
I
too.
love those
Me
buses.
too. Me too. That is the first thing I do, by
That's
the
the
way.
first thing I do. And
You
then I
bet.
can figure out, okay, I want to come back here. I want to get off here, spend 10 minutes.
Right.
You don't have to walk. You meet people on the bus. It's
Absolutely.
it's the first, it's the best tour that you'll get because you can hear about everything that's going on. I love it. I love it. Insurance. Oh, go
But
ahead.
well, but one other thing, but even taking just public transportation, I'll sometimes get on a bus or a tram where I have no idea where I'm going. I mean, I really don't. And I've learned this, interestingly enough, when I was in my 20s from a group of Swedish students who said, well, I'll just get on a bus and go. Where are we going? I don't know. Well, when you see something interesting, just let us all know. We'll get off. We found the most interesting things. We found parks. We found cafes. We even found a museum that none of us knew about. We found a place to go have drinks that was just really delightful. And so I've been doing it my whole life now. It's like, don't know where I'm going, but I also don't know what I'm going to discover. I've seen street art. I mean, just great stuff.
Great stuff.
And you want to know what things are like, go into the neighborhoods. Don't just go into the big tourist areas in the center of the city.
Right. But also be careful. Don't uh, be whimsical. We were in China, and my friend and we were walking down these streets, and it looked like something out of a Bruce Lee movie. And it was just me and her. I'm African American. I rock a big old afro. She's tall, thin, white, looks like a supermodel. We were not the normal couple.
Yeah.
And people were looking at us kind of strange. I have a very strong intuition. And I asked her, I said, Peyton, I said, do you know how to fight? Oh, gracious, no. I was like, oh, God. I said, do you know how to get a predator off of you? Oh, no, I've never had that problem. And she's walking with her head down, and this gentleman followed us for 4 blocks.
Oh, yeah.
And I told her, I said, you know what? I understand that I'm not aggressive, but I know how to get somebody off of me. And you have to pay attention.
Yes.
They'll say, oh, this is the safest place ever. You'll be at a hotel. I did that. I was in not the Philippines. I was in Thailand.
Yeah.
And it was late at night, and where the restaurant was versus where our room was quite a distance. And I was by myself. And when I got back to my room, it hit me. Anything could have happened. The person doesn't know that you're walking by yourself. You're a woman by yourself. Sure, normally the culture is that nothing will happen, but you don't know until you know.
Mm-hmm.
These young girls go out. We were in Jamaica, and I tell you, Karen, they were so drunk. I
Mm.
was scared to death.
Yeah.
I really wanted to just laid out. They had those big shave ice, and you pour the rum down the ice, and they took all they could do. And I was just so worried. So, you don't have to be a risk taker. You don't put a bullseye on your back.
No.
You
No.
don't want to be overly, I don't wear my fancy jewelry. I just kind of try to blend in. Do your homework before you go on these trips.
Yeah.
Look, I Google and see, okay, what is the fashion trend? What do the tourists wear there? Some places don't want flip-flops. Are you required to cover?
Right.
So there's places, a girlfriend of mine sent her young voluptuous daughters with booty shorts to Cairo, Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
You have to understand that you again are a guest in someone's home. Do your homework, do your research, and get travel insurance. Do you
Yes.
get travel insurance? I don't go anywhere without travel
Well,
insurance.
I travel so much that I have an annual policy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, once a year I re-up it and then I don't have to think about it. But yes, you definitely need travel insurance. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, there's all different kinds of insurance. And there's, cancel for any reason. And then there's, just standard if something happens. And make sure that you're buying tickets that if they're not refundable, they are at least transferable. So if something happens at the last minute, you can't go, you can reschedule and not have to pay a fee for it.
But people
Make
don't
sure that,
realize that we were in Mexico, and all of the people that were with us, they wanted to get on these little mopeds and all that. Well, number one, traffic in those places are very different. Sometimes you're driving on the opposite side of the road. Sometimes the signs are not in a language that you understand. Well, they hit a corner and they ran into a car. Not only did they get damaged, but the car got damaged. Well, you have to pay for your damages before you can leave.
yeah,
And it's not like you can pull out your medical card there. It doesn't work. You got to pay for your medical treatment in full before you leave. So these insurances, it could be anything. You could get stung by a bee, but heaven forbid one woman passed away. How are you going to get the remains back?
yeah,
It is worth it. That extra two, three, $400, if you can afford to go on a nice trip, please invest in some sort of travel insurance or check with your insurance provider. Because even cars, you rent a car and they don't do third party.
yeah,
They don't take the insurance here. You may be able to file a subsequent
yeah,
claim when you get
to,
back with your
yeah,
insurance policy.
yeah,
But when you get over there, if you're not able to take care of it, you're in a lot of trouble.
yeah. Um, and check your credit cards because a lot of them
Yes.
cover it. And check if you own a car, your own policy may do it, but you're right, you do have to pay then, and then
Yes.
reimbursed. So you need to keep that in mind.
And
Uh,
learn about currency conversion. It used to be the day of traveler's checks. Do you remember that? Do they even have
oh God,
traveler's checks anymore?
I don't think so.
I think I saw one bank that had some traveler's checks, but understand the currency. There are so many apps that you can get now that you put in what it is in their currency versus your currency. You have an idea. There's even translators. We use it all the time. Google Translator
Oh,
for the
fabulous.
language. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're getting duped. You're in a taxi. You think you're going one place or somewhere else. You can hear and see what's going on your phone. It's for safety precautions. But currency, do you use your credit card a lot? I
Yes.
use our credit card.
Yeah. I use a credit card. In fact, I often don't. I've changed cash and like haven't used it at all. I was talking about being in South Korea, and I was there 12 years ago now, and I had changed money at the airport, got cash, went in for coffee, and handed the woman a bill. And she looked at me as a young girl, and she looked at me like, "What is this?" I mean, literally looked at me like, "What?" She calls her manager over, like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And people weren't even using credit cards; they were taking their phones and using the phone. And this was 12 years ago.
Right.
So I ended up coming back. I changed all the money that I had changed, into Korean currency back to U.S. currency because nobody wanted it.
No, they know nobody wants the fiat currency anymore. And now they're doing this cryptocurrency in
Yeah,
a
well, I
lot of
don't do
different
that.
in a lot of different countries they are. But you're like, okay, I don't even understand that, much less,
Yeah.
trying to use a credit card. What are we doing here? So do your homework, do your research. It's good to be excited about going to a place, but
Oh,
being
and
educated.
the other thing is make sure you bring two credit cards. And
Mm.
I'm going to tell you why. First of all, one for some reason may not get accepted, so you want to have a spare. The other thing is when you're in a hotel, put one of the credit cards in the safe deposit box. So just in case something happens, you have another credit card.
Mhm.
I do that. The first thing I do is put my passport, my credit cards, any extra cash I have, my house keys, all goes into the safe deposit box. Absolutely, because I don't want to be walking around with it. On the other hand, I have taken photographs of my passport, my credit cards, and everything else that's on my phone, including the back of the credit card, so that if it gets lost, I know who to call to say cancel it.
Mhm. Right.
You
And
know,
the CDC, go to
small
the
things like that.
CDC website before you travel just to see if there's an outbreak of the flu or whatever's going on. That's another thing I pack. I have like a medicine chest because I don't know what their Tylenol is like. I don't know what their bug spray is like. So I always take travel sizes of my own medication just to make sure because that's what I'm used to. But you know what seniors are doing now that I love? They are not going to retirement homes. They're living on cruise ships
Cruise
instead of
ships, yeah,
hotels.
I know.
I went on the Cunard and I was like, well, look at this. And let me tell you, Brains, there were more people that had physical ailments and challenges that I had ever seen before. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm on some geriatric cruise. This is not going to be fun. Once they got on there and they got those wheelchairs charged up, you would have seen them drag racing down the aisle. And the music was fine, the food was wonderful. But I asked one lady, and she says, well, I have my own stateroom. I'm going to get off here in Liverpool. I'm going to go check my house, pay my bills, make sure everything's fine. Then the driver's going to bring me back. When he brings me back, and then I said, well, what are you going to do after the cruise? She says, and I'm going on the next one to Croatia. And she was spending like 4,000, 5,000, and she had her room, she had her meals, it was clean, there was a doctor if they needed, she met wonderful people, she was entertained. I was like, well, this is kind of the business instead of being bunked in a room somewhere, three deep,
Yeah.
horrible food, family doesn't come to visit you. You have options, seniors. You have options. You can get on a cruise ship, or another one of my girlfriends is living in a hotel,
Hmm.
and they absolutely love it. They
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So it's not over until it's over. So tell us a little bit about your books.
Well, the first book is all travel stories. It's kind of a memoir told through travel stories.
Mm.
And it covers everything from my first trips as a kid, when I discovered that I was really good at doing charades and consequently never learned another language, which was unfortunate.
Mm.
Uh, but I learned, if you smile a lot and you try real hard, people are really happy to go along with you. Of course, now I use Google Translate, which I have to tell you a very funny story. I was in Istanbul and got into a taxi, and he was picking me up from the train, and the taxi driver started to have this long conversation. I had no idea what he was saying. So he had Google Translate, he translated it, and basically he was saying, do you want me to show you the city? And we negotiated a price through Google Translate. Well, we spent the day together. The guy was absolutely delightful. And by the end of it, we were telling each other jokes through Google Translate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was the funniest experience. But anyhow, back to the book. So Travel Mania is a memoir basically through travel stories. And people really seemed to like it. I was delighted by how many books sold, to be honest with you. And then the second book, which is this one, Wanderlust. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. And the subtitle is Extraordinary People, Quirky Places, and Curious Cuisine. And people were saying you have such great stories about people, and you've been to some really, really unusual places and eaten some, both fabulous and god awful food. Write some stories about those experiences. So I did. And so that's the second book. And the third book is a little bit different. And it's kind of what we've been talking about today, which is after these first two books were published and were out in the world, I was on radio shows and I teach some classes about travel, and discovered that a lot of people who are seniors are very afraid to travel. Either they've lost a partner, travel partner, not necessarily a spouse, but whoever they traveled with, or the travel partner decided they didn't want to travel, or they started to have mobility issues, or they were concerned about the political situation around the world, or. They remembered and thought about everything that could possibly go wrong and not about the things and how much fun it is. And so the book, someone in my writing group described it as it is as a senior, how and why to travel. So that it gives lots of practical advice, but it also is a bunch of really inspiring stories about people who are older who have not stopped traveling, have done incredible things, but have adjusted the way they travel. Because you can't do what you did when you were 30. I wish I could, but it's just not a reality. So you have to adapt to the reality, but still make it fun. That's the key to all of this is make sure you're really having a good time. What's the point of doing it if you're miserable? And, how do you pick a travel companion? If you've been traveling with someone forever, and suddenly or not so suddenly, but they can't or don't want to travel with you anymore, how do you find someone else? And are there places where you can get a matching service? And there are, and there's groups on Facebook, and there's all kinds of ways to find someone who will be compatible that you can travel with. If you don't want to travel alone, and if you do want to travel alone, how do you find a group with other singles so that you don't feel like a fish out of water when there's couples and you're the only single?
Right.
And there's loads of those kinds of groups. And if you are going with a spouse, how do you do it if both of you have, or each of you has different physical capabilities? I have seen couples where one person is really active and the other person is not, so or can't be for whatever reason. How do you deal with that? Well, one of the things you can do is take a river cruise. A lot of the river cruises, when you get into a port, have multiple choices, everything from cycling to the next stop to taking a short walk around the town or taking a bus ride somewhere, so that one person can be really active and the other person can do things at the pace they need. And then at the end of the day, you have dinner together and you exchange stories and you do whatever activities are on the ship. And it makes it much better for each person,
Right.
because you don't feel like you're either forcing the other one to do something or holding them back.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people who do that because it gives that kind of flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. It's, I have people who I love to travel with, and we've made an agreement that if we both want to do the same thing, great. And if we don't, we're each going to go off during the day, do what we want, and then meet up for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
And
and I have friends. We have another couple that we travel with too. And if you're not feeling good and you just want to stay there at the hotel and go to sleep, just
do
just
it.
do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll get in these groups where people will get crunchy or get an attitude because we're all not doing the same thing. Allow me to have my own experience.
Mhm.
Allow that person to have their own experience. Um, but it all works together for the good. I when I think about travel and I think about back to what you said about food and meals, I think about Anthony Bourdain.
Oh yeah.
When he passed away, I felt like I had lost a brother
Hmm.
because the way that he traveled and the way that he immersed himself in the culture of the people through food, it was amazing. And so I have used him as a model a lot of times when I go to places that are strange and far, or when I say, "Oh, do I really want to try that street food? Let me see how it's prepared. Let me see how it fits." And then I say, the heck with it. I'll try a little bit. And that little bit turns into, "Ooh, I want a whole plate of
Oh
that
yeah. Oh
stuff."
yeah.
So look at these things, look at these individuals, go back, purchase one of Karen's books. Um, I just know that the world is an oyster and we are just a pearl inside. Go out and experience it. God made all of us different for a reason. There are so
Yeah.
many things to see. Again, even in your own neighborhood, there's different cultures, there's different people, there's different languages, there's different sights, different sounds. Don't stay pigeonholed, don't stay stuck. You do yourself such a disservice. And I know me, I love New York. I just sometimes I have to, you talk about worldly. I have to sit down because there's like five different restaurants that I want to try in one city block.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a beautiful thing. The world is a beautiful thing. Don't believe everything that is given to you on the television because that's not true.
No,
It's
no,
not.
not at all.
No. And then when you get there, it is not the bombings, it's not the robbing, it's not the government, it's not, the people. You learn something about, well, wow, maybe I have been playing small. Maybe there is something out there that I can really enjoy.
Oh yeah.
What thing too? What do you do with your dog when you travel so much?
I have a friend who loves to stay in my apartment. I live in Midtown Manhattan, so it's a
Oh
great
gosh.
location. And so he comes and stays with my dog, and my dog loves him. He loves my dog. I trust him implicitly. And he sends me photos or videos every day.
Oh,
And so I know they're both doing well. And it's a win-win-win. I mean, it's a real win-win-win.
see, that's not a win for me anymore because we don't have a friend that comes over. And I want to get a dog again. I keep looking at yours in the background and my eyes are
Oh
filling
yeah,
up with
yeah.
water.
My
But that's
little
a big,
baby boy.
yes, but that's a big responsibility
It
when you
is.
have pets.
Yeah.
um, Housing them. A lot of times people are traveling with their pets. And I was a little annoyed coming back from New York, and a woman had a 22-pound German Shepherd sitting in the seat in between us. I wasn't
Jeez.
comfortable with
Yeah.
it. So, it's hard, but when you're a pet parent, you got to take that into
Yeah.
consideration too. And a lot of seniors, rely on their animals as emotional support. So you
Absolutely.
want to take them into consideration if they can travel with you. How much can they handle? They're a soul too. Maybe they don't like to fly. You don't know.
Well, you can always take road trips. I mean, I've taken my dog on road trips, and he's a good traveler in the car. And there are hotels that are perfectly happy for you to bring dogs with you. You may have to pay a little bit extra. Usually it's not very much. And he has a great time. I have a great time. Works really well.
Oh, great. So Karen, tell my brains how to get in contact with you. They want to purchase a copy of the book, or follow your travel blog,
Absolutely.
some
The
inspiration.
the books you can get on any bookseller at all. They're everywhere, Barnes and Noble, Amazon. If you go into your local bookstore, they may or may not have it, but they can order it. But you can get it pretty much anywhere. Um, and again, I'm going to show you the two books because they're fun. They really are. People really like them. So the first one is Travel Mania, and the second one is Wanderlust.
Hmm.
And easy to find. If you want to get a hold of me, I have a website, which is my name, KarenGershowitz.com. Very straightforward. And you can find me on using my name on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you follow me, particularly on Facebook, I every time I travel, every single trip, I write every single day about what I've done and show a lot of photographs. And I'm a very good photographer. In fact, I just won a travel photography contest. I got a
Wow.
notification this morning that I had won, and there's a big cash prize. It's like, that's really
Wow.
nice.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That'll pay for your next trip. So where can
not that big, but it'll pay for a bunch of really nice meals. Um, but but do follow me because it is fun and people love it. I mean, and it's funny because when I, don't and I write every single day on Facebook. Usually, if I'm home, it's 100-word essay with photos.
Hmm.
So it's short and sweet.
So where are two or three places that you'd like to tick off your life list?
Well, I just planned a trip. I'm going to Cyprus next year. I
Hmm.
have never been there. And apparently it is an archaeological wonder of the world. So I would like to do that. I would very much like to go to Malta. Same reason. Never been there, and it's supposed to be lovely. I want to go to West Africa, and I really want to go to Ghana. I've got this bug to go to Ghana because my brother, who was a professor, um, was teaching a lot of Ghanaian students and really got to be friends with him. And they invited him to go lecture in Accra. So he went and he fell in love with it. And he went back a bunch of times, brought all of his kids there. And he and I were supposed to go. I couldn't go. And then after that, he became ill and he passed away. So I never got there. So that is very high on my list. And I have people to contact when I'm there because his kids know who I should go see. And so that's very high. Ghana is within the next year or two. I will absolutely go to Ghana.
Well, good. I am planning to go to Portugal.
Oh, looks lovely.
I love Spain, but I've never been to Portugal. I want to go to Bali.
I'll tell you, when you go to Bali, I have been to Bali 3 times. First time I was there, I loved it. It's gotten very commercial, and there are a lot of Australians.
Yeah.
The island that's right next to it, Lombok,
Mhm.
is lovely, and it's not touristy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it
So
as
go to
spiritual
both.
as Bali?
Mhm.
Is it as spiritual?
No,
Bali?
no, it's not. It's actually a Muslim island as
Oh,
opposed to Hindu.
okay.
But it's just for the scenery, the people, the architecture. It's worth going to.
Okay. All
So
right.
go to both.
All right. So those are 2 places that I'm going to tick off, and we will come back and we'll compare notes. Brains, get your passport and save your pennies. Go on a trip, okay? And go on a trip that's worth the gas. Go somewhere different, immerse yourself in the culture, laugh, learn. And you know what? It's funny. Even if you don't have a good time, you'll have one heck of a memory.
And great stories.
And
And
great
great
stories.
stories.
Great stories. Go back and love, like, share this interview as well as others with people that you know. We are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and about 20 different podcasts. We're on YouTube. Just go in and listen to other edgy conversations. Immerse yourself in something different for 30 to 45 minutes. You just might learn something. Thank you so much, Karen. You have just been such a gift. I appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you. This was great. It was just fun talking with you.
You too.
Always
Safe
fun with
travels.
another traveler.
Safe travels.
And to you as well.
Bye, brains.